Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, okay, we're there. Great. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. We're not going to mess about. We're going to get straight into it. There's so much to get through. We've got polls. I want to know how you feel about Southgate. I want to know how you feel about this squad. I want to find out so much. Let's have a look at the squad straight away. And we're going to dive into maybe the formation. We're going to have a look at the players that have missed out. It looks like at the moment, if you have a look at that, we'll run through it. But players that have missed out: Sancho, Tony, Abraham, James Ward-Prowse. You've got Harvey Elliott missing out as well. Maddison is in the squad. I repeat, Maddison is in the squad. This is, and let's take a second, by the way. Let's take a second. A World Cup comes once every 4 years. And it's here, guys. It's here. Okay, so now is the time to get excited and get behind the lads. My initial thoughts on this, and I'm going to go straight to a poll here, guys, because actually I want to get your take on all of this. So make sure you're near the keyboard. If you aren't subscribed, then you won't be able to get involved in the chat. So just subscribe quickly, and then we're up and running, and everybody wins. Hit the like button as well. Come on, England. If you'd like England to win it, hit the like button. That's probably a dangerous thing. Right, let's dive into this. Straight off the bat, are you happy with the squad overall? That is the first question, because often we have the loud minority on Twitter losing their minds, okay? So I want you to vote 1 for yes, 2 for no. Off you go. Are you happy with the squad overall? Fascinated to find out. You can tell I'm really, really excited. By the way, obviously I will see all this coming through, but if you want a super chat and want me to ask those questions, we'll dive into that as well. 85% saying yes so far. We'll let that tick over for a second. I'll tell you what, we'll come back to that in just a second. Let me tell you how I feel about it. My initial thoughts on this, and keep voting, and there's lots to vote for, and when it comes to talking points, we'll get to that in a second as well. That squad, so you've got Pickford, Pope, Ramsdale. Trent is in the squad. Obviously, you've got Reece James missing out. Kyle Walker, they're taking a risk with. Connor Cody is in the squad. Eric Dyer, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, John Stones, Kieran Trippier. Luke Shaw, the only, out-and-out left-back in the squad this year. Midfielders, Jude Bellingham. Conor Gallagher is in this England squad. Congratulations to him. Jordan Henderson makes it in. Mason Mount, Calvin Phillips. That's right, Calvin Phillips is in this squad. I imagine that will be a big talking point. And then your forwards: Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, Harry Kane, James Maddison. Okay, I'll get to it. James Maddison, Marcus Rashford from nowhere, Bukayo Saka, Raheem Sterling, Callum Wilson. Okay. I've got in front of me written down here, I've got some of the players that haven't made it. I've got some that have just been put in on form, some that have been put based on, and some that are just a bit of a surprise for me. Let's go back to that vote and see how you guys are feeling about it. 75%, has come down just a little bit, but that is interesting. And that's what I want to do, and that's why I want to have these kind of polls, because I want you guys to have your chance without having to scream it, to have your vote, to have a democratic channel where everyone gets to have a bit of a voice. So if you are new and you do want to be a part of it, I'm going to be going to Qatar. I'm heading off next week. I'll be there for the first few weeks of the tournament, going to some of the England games as well. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell as well. I'm going to be going live whilst I'm out there. So get involved, okay? 75% of people are pretty happy with that squad. Okay, let's move on to our next thing, because I wanted to get a feeling on, first of all, the formation, because there's so much talk about 3 at the back, 4 at the back, and actually we get a little bit later as well. We can go to this, guys, hopefully, and we can have a little play around if we're thinking about it being a 4 or being a 3, and talk through it, because obviously we'll get some of these super chats are coming through, so I want to answer every single question. But let's get to this second one, because I think it's important, because I've got the squad depth here as well. Can you tell I'm excited? I just love international football. Bloody love it. Let's go with this next one. I'm just intrigued by this. Let's get to the talking points, actually, because I think it's far more important that I get in that. Why is there an unexpected error? It's probably because there's so many of you guys. That's going to break my heart if that stays like that. Come back to me. Let's try it again. Unexpected error once again. What a shame. Oh, why have you done that to me? Right, we'll come back to that. Oh, no, we're back. I say in the chat. Let's go in the chat because it's that's not working for us, sadly. In terms of big talking points, which players would you want me to talk about? And actually, I think I have got a poll for it. Where is it? Here it is. One player that should be in the squad. So only write the name of the player now. So which player should have been in the squad that wasn't? If you had to put forward one person, and we'll do it that way. We'll talk through it that way. You got Tomori, Tony, James Ward-Prowse, Maguire. These are people that aren't in the squad. Let's talk about that first and foremost. Tomori flying up there. He's got 60-odd votes now. This is fascinating to see. Let's talk about Tomori then, and keep your votes coming in. We'll see who else sort of rises up to the top when it comes to it, because I think these are some really good names that we've got here. You've got Dan Burn, Tony, James Ward-Prowse. I think I've got an idea on Tomori, and I have to give you my broad thoughts on the squad, don't I, as well? But let's do Tomori. I think Tomori's really hard done by here. Really, really hard done by. And I was trying to think why. Why is he not in this squad? And also, I think the thing to caveat all of this is, as you've all just said, generally, the bulk of people are happy with this squad. And what I would say about the squad is that I think it's a really humble squad. And I think it's a squad where there's a guy there who's gone, I want to have options. If someone's knocking on the door and they need to be in, then let's let them in. And we'll talk about those kind of players, the likes of Maddison, the likes of Wilson, the likes of Rashford. But he's also thinking about what he needs to cover certain areas of the pitch. Now, and then, of course, you've got the whole formation. Because I think, look, the bottom line is when it comes to formation, this is what he wants to do. He wants to play three at the back. I understand that. And it's a culture and a philosophy within international football that has served him very, very well. And so when we think about Tomori, I think Tomori is a centre-back that you take if you want to play a back four. And I think he might do it for one or two of the games in the group stage. But I believe that once he gets into the knockouts, he's not touching a back four. He's just not doing it, because this is tournament football. You have to stay in the game. And if you're going to stay in the game, having bodies behind the ball, as boring and conservative as it may be, if it gets to 0-0 and it's 120 minutes and you haven't scored a goal but you haven't conceded one, you're still in it. If you score one but you concede three, you're out. Analysis. Smash that like button. And I think that's the way that he thinks, And although we don't have these quality centre-backs, what we have to remember with all of this is, how are they setting up in possession and out of possession? And are there players that can allow you to be that little bit more attacking? For example, and also if you want to make changes, right? If you want to be able to make changes and go to a back four quickly and bring on Maddison, then that's something that he can do pretty quickly, right? He can do that if he has to go to that. And that's, I think, why he's brought in Maddison. I think that's why he's maybe brought Conor Gallagher as well, as a sort of pressing midfielder a little bit higher up. And then he wants that sort of balance in behind as well. But here's the point on Tomori. Here's the thing when it comes to Tomori. I think he wants size. He wants to be good in set pieces. And I think, sadly, when it comes to Tomori, and I was digging into it, and I saw this and I thought, yeah, that's probably it. When I look at his FBref, and again, this might be due to the fact that he's not, the opposition aren't playing this way against him. The bottom line is, when it comes to Aerials 1, he's not one of the best. And I think if he's looking to be solid, and you can agree with it or disagree with it, but if that is the road that he's going down, if he's going down this road of a back three, he wants size. That said, I still think he's worth taking. I still think he's probably worth taking ahead of Tomori. Of Cody. But it's his team and it's his choice, right? And that's what he's done. In terms of, because look, you don't have to agree with any of his decisions. Overall, it seems as though people are pretty okay with it. But the bottom line is that if he is going to make those calls, then he has to go wholehearted with it. And I think that's why. That's my reason for Gareth Southgate in terms of him not doing it, okay? Just want to read a super chat whilst it's here. Joe Pike, feel bad saying it, but I wouldn't mind a Kane niggle. Keeping him out of a couple of group games. Would love to see how dynamic we'd look with Wilson. That's interesting. I mean, wishing our one world-class player to get an injury. I'm not sure I'm keen on that, personally. I don't think I'd take that risk. But, so be it. That's fair enough. I think we had another super chat as well, so I want to just try and get to it if I can. We'll talk about Callum Wilson, we'll talk about Maddison and all that stuff as well. Matthew's just kindly given a super chat. Thank you very much for that. Let's have a look at your votes then. So Tomori's the main man. Tony's not made it. Do you know what? I'm surprised Wilson's gone ahead of Tony. I think the reason that he's done it is because he's gone on form, and I wouldn't have done it because I would have gone with someone who I know is going to be fit. I would have gone with someone who I know scores goals. I would have gone with someone who knows has the confidence, and I would have gone with someone who I know offers something different, where you could play him alongside Harry Kane, but also get him on to replace him. That's why I would have taken Tony. This is a completely unfounded and unsourced, but I wonder if the story coming out this week, I wonder if that is, I'm not saying it's true, but I wonder if it is still sort of pending any kind of investigation. I'll be honest, I haven't really dived into that, so I might be wrong on that one. So feel free to sort of let me know about that one. But that might have played a part in all of this. The one thing I thought was interesting was Tony, in his tweet earlier in the week, was very strong on the idea that he wanted to go to the World Cup with England. So I think he was fighting for that in that moment. Joe Linton's got to be on the plane. I think you're right. I think he's been hard done by here. Let's have a look at the squad in its entirety here then, because I think also you can talk about the depth. And then we'll get to some polls at the end. And we will definitely finish with where you think England will finish off. We've got some of those polls on their way. So in terms of depth and how he wants to play, again, do you know what? I know you'll go for me, and I get it. But once he's made his decision, the only concerns I have are who plays left back. But I think what he'll do, and we can kind of work it up here ourselves, really, right? You saw my 11 yesterday. If you want to go check that out, then you can do. I think Trippier could actually play here as a right-sided centre-back. And I do that very clearly because I think, again, even somebody who's playing as a right-sided centre-back, they're not really. If you've got the ball, you can change your shape. We all have to start looking at football a little bit differently nowadays, and that's what you could do with Trippier. So you could put him there if you want to. You can't play him left-sided centre-back. You could play him left-back, and he's done it before. Shaw, could you play him left-sided centre-back? Yeah. Dyer, could you play him left-sided centre-back? Yeah. White, if you had to? Yeah. And he's obviously, White and Walker on that right-hand side. That feels pretty strong to me. Walker, of course, can play right back as well. And what I'm doing here is just showcasing the options that he wants. He wants options. And I think he wants to play 4, quite possibly at some point. Yeah, good point. Right, White, if you really needed him, could play there as well. In midfield, I think Cody's a lucky boy. I've got to be honest. Maguire in the squad, I get it for that exact same reason about the lack of people to play on the left-hand side if you're going to play back 3, which he's going to do, right? So let's just move on from it. In midfield, Phillips has got lucky based on profile, I think. He's got very, very lucky based on profile. And James Ward-Prowse has missed out to Henderson, let's be honest. And Gallagher and Maddison, do you know what? Say what you want. Maddison and Gallagher, to put those two in the squad and not have James Ward-Prowse or not have, I don't know, maybe you could, I guess you can have another Sancho, couldn't you? You could have had Abraham, another striker if you're desperate for it. But to take those two, that's a positive move. It is. We get so bogged down in the system. 3 can actually be one guy staying, 2 centre-backs a little bit higher up, which pushes those full-backs even higher up. And all of a sudden, you've actually only got 3 at the back. Do you know what I mean? So Maddison and Gallagher, those are 2 positive moves. Those are 2 players that probably, are going to play in this area. Although I've got the attacking midfielder there, so let's just leave it there. Mount, of course, can do that as well. And then in terms of players who can play right wing forward, Mount can do that. Maddison can do that. Rashford can do that. Rashford can obviously play the left-hand side as well. Saka can play both sides. Mount can play both sides. Foden can play on this side. You can see where I'm getting at with this. Grealish can play as a cam if you wanted him to. Sterling can play up front. Sterling can play on the left. Foden could play as a cam. Henderson, if you need him to, could sit there for you. Or play in a 2, which you'd probably play. Bellingham's in that 2 as well. So I come back to the thought, personally, that I think he's made a couple of decisions where he's slightly safeguarding. But Phillips as a backup, because your starters are Rice and Bellingham, Phillips as a backup, it's kind of worth the risk that little bit more, if that makes sense. And again, I think he knows his starting centre backs. It's probably those 3 and Stones, and so then he's talking about backup people. I think he likes Cody for his heading ability and for his communication, his leadership, and I think that's why Tomori has just missed out. Ben White, really flexible as a backup player, as I've shown. Ben White could probably play in this role as well if you're really, really desperate. So there are options now, and I like that flexibility. Some of the surprises: Rashford, Phillips, Gallagher. I know you guys have been voting, so I wonder if have you been able to get it? I know what you're trying. I knew what you lot were trying to do. You were trying to get Joe Linton up to the top, so I'm just intrigued to see if you got it. No, you haven't got him up there. He's fourth at the moment. Dan Burn misses out. I think Dan Burn wouldn't have been the worst shout. I've spoken as well about Webster in terms of giving people an opportunity, but there's only so many players you can bring in, right? It is a versatile, flexible squad. Right, what other polls have we got? So, formation, I've spoken about it for a while, and the thing is that what I'm doing here is I'm just stating the facts. Do you want to play back 4? I get it. I don't totally disagree with it. But he's going to play 3. But let's ask you guys the question then. Let's ask you guys the question. Which formation would you play for the whole tournament? If you had to play it and stick with it for the whole tournament. It's gone now, Jay Linton. So you got a 3-4-3 or a 4-2-3-1. I'm guessing those would be the 2 obvious options for most people when they pick their teams. I get you might have a different idea, but I'm just intrigued to know. Number 1 or number 2, get voting now. Let's see how you feel about it. And you've got to play it in the first game, but you've got to play it in the World Cup final against, Brazil, against Argentina, against Germany, against Spain, against, France in the quarterfinals, quite possibly as well. Would you play 3 or would you play 4? I'm intrigued to know what you guys think. See, in the group stages, I play 4. In the knockouts, I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure we've got it in us. And I'd rather stay in the game. Maybe that's me just being that little bit more conservative. But, so be it, right? So, look, I'm in the wrong here, according to you guys. The masses want a 4-2-3-1. The masses want a 4-2-3-1. Interesting. Let me see if I can do this big talking points again. They don't want to do it. Scumbags, the lot of you. Okay, next question. And actually, I tell you what, in the chat, are there any other players you want me to talk about? Because I think Rashford, Maddison, and Wilson, those are form picks. And again, I think people scream out all the time and going, be flexible. You've got to bring players in on form. Rashford, Maddison, and Wilson. You've got one who's been out of 2 have been out of it for a long time, Wilson and Maddison. He's taken a bit of a risk with Wilson as well in terms of his injury record. But do you know what? He's been brave enough to do it. And actually, Wilson, in terms of quality and form, Wilson definitely deserves it. People were talking about Gay. Gay, I mean, I wouldn't have hated it. I think he probably still wants lead. He's a leader, but I think a big thing for Southgate is set pieces at both ends of the pitch. He knows that in international football, so many goals come from set pieces at both ends of the pitch. And if you look at Crystal Palace's record, that has been a problem. And Gay has been a part of that, right? Because he has been a centre back. Bowen, a little bit hard done by. I've got to be honest. I did feel like there's certain players. I thought James Prowse wouldn't make it, just because I think sort of mid-table tax just hurts you, right? Anthony Niemi, how's he not got in the squad? People say he's finished. I don't think so. He's only 28. I think Gay is a little bit too soon for him. But I think, when we're talking about Southgate, and we're going to get onto that now, the question with Southgate is that he's too conservative. But if it keeps working in tournaments, you can't really have a go at it. But moving forward, I think if this is a team that plays with a back 4, the likes of Gay, the likes of Tomori definitely make their way into the squad for sure. Right, next question. I'm intrigued to know how you guys feel about this. Where are we? What is success for England in this tournament? What is success? I think the bare minimum is getting out of the group. So 1, 2, 3, 4. What is, now you've seen the squad, 1, 2, 3, 4. Where do you think they're going to be? Second round, what is considered success? What is considered one where you go, I know, fair play, carry on. Keep calm and carry on. Because I think that is always the big question. Second round, 8%. Quarterfinals. Quarterfinals, it looks like we'll probably play France if we were to win our group. Semi-final after that, I think it's going to be someone, I want to say it's like Portugal or someone like that. I'm going to be doing my predictions next week. I might do it live as well. So if you haven't subscribed and you haven't hit the notification bell, importantly, make sure you do. I think I'm going to do that on next Tuesday, possibly, maybe next Wednesday. So if you don't want to miss out on that, make sure you hit the notification bell in particular. I'll give my predictions on this. But I want to know how you guys feel. That's the whole point of this bloody channel. So 45% of you think that semi-final is success. Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Because I think quarter-final you would expect, right? So exceeding expectations. But I hate to admit, but chemistry is important. So 3-4-3. So yeah, Maestro, I'm agree with you on that one. Thanks, mate. I think success is the semi-finals. Because I think you would expect us to get to the quarterfinals. You're then going to play France. And so if you've beaten someone like France, you've done pretty bloody well, right? Because France are one of the top 2-3 teams in the competition. And by the way, I've got a complete guide on the World Cup coming up on Sunday, but also individual previews. They've come out so far. Brazil, England, and Argentina have come out. Got Spain, Portugal, Denmark, France, loads on the way as well. So another reason to get involved. But you guys think that that's success. Okay, next question. So with that in mind, if success is that, how far will England go in this tournament? Will they go out in the group stage, second round, quarter-final, semi-final, final, or will they win the whole bloody thing? And I'd say, well, if I can't see it happening, but if you're not English... Actually, but no, fair enough. You all have your picks, but I think anyone who's not English is going to go for group stage, aren't you? I'd imagine. But look, a democratic society, we'll do what we can. 49% saying the quarterfinals. I think unless you're getting behind the bloody lads, 14% saying winners. Whoever you are, DM me that, and I'll try and follow you. DM me and I'll try and follow you because you're the kind of people I want in my life. You are the kind of people I want in my life. Amazing. Okay. 16%, 43%. 4% think we'll get to the final. Okay. I'm not surprised by that either. Okay. So final question. And this is the big one. Okay. This is the big one. And again, you've got your loud minority. And this channel is for the silent majority. So it's silent majority. It's now time to say your piece. Because it does all revolve around Southgate. There is so much talking around him, right? And generally it doesn't feel great, does it? But you can argue both sides of it. Everyone's done it a million times. An amazing record in tournaments. I think, again, if you watch that press conference, I think he speaks logically, fairly, with humility. But does he have it? Does he have the tactical acumen? I think he's got the gumption because I think he's strong enough to stick with this because he could have just gone for it, play for, see what they can do. But he's careful, right? And he is conservative. But do you back him to succeed with us? Do you back him going into this tournament? Are you backing Southgate? This is the big one. Number 1 for yes, number 2 for no. I'm intrigued to know what the feeling is going into this World Cup. Do you back Southgate? Yes or no? Everyone gets a vote. I want 3,621 votes on this bad boy. Say how you feel right now. Wow. I'm intrigued. Oh, and we're back in. It's tight. That's a bit closer. That's a bit more like it. Are you backing the man Gareth in this one? Last statements on that. Keep voting. We'll come back to it right at the end of this video. So my final thoughts on it. I understand this squad. I do understand this squad. In terms of lucky boys, I think Conor Gallagher overall is lucky. But I think it's a positive move. So fair enough. I think Conor Cody's a little bit lucky despite being good for Everton actually this year. I think Harry Maguire, if he's playing for Everton, for example, I don't think he makes it into this squad. And he's not starting. I think Calvin Phillips has got really lucky. But again, as a backup, almost Southgate's got lucky because he's not going to start. So he actually has as long as he wants to really get fit for it. And then after that, I think Callum Wilson has earned it. I think James Maddison has earned it. I think the rest of the guys there that have earned it. I think Ben White's been superb and is the future for England as well. And I think Luke Shaw's recovered as well. So it's going to be fascinating. Right, let's see what the final vote is. Okay. Here we go. I'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do you back Southgate in this tournament? 55% say no. That is interesting. Despite what he's done in tournaments, he's got a lot to prove. What does that say? I think we could spend an hour drilling down on that. And what I would be fearful of is that I would provide a bit too much bias on why I think that vote has gone that way. So I'm going to leave it there and maybe we'll talk it through another time. Okay? But what I would say is get behind the lads. Get behind the lads. It's the World Cup. Honestly, this is why there's so many talking points around the World Cup. And yeah, it's best for me not to get into them right now. But I love them. I love the World Cup. I love the competition of it. It's going to be an absolute feast of football. And we've got a dog in the fight. So I think it's always important to get behind the bloody lads. Okay? So you have the complete right to be voting this way. And if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. I can't have a go at you for that. But what I will say is put your weapons down, guys, okay? Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, West Ham, Southampton, Leicester City, forget it. Okay, let's all come together. Let's enjoy the games. Let's get behind the boys and support the lads as well. Okay, so much World Cup content on the horizon. If you want to be a part of it, hit the subscribe button. I'd love to get to 250k when it comes to subscribers, and I'd love this video to do well. So subscribe, hit the like button, and I